This is the Shinobi Pokemon region, home to epic original starters, regional variants, and 8 fierce gym leaders. It even has its own truly evil Pokemon team roaming in the shadows, plus custom legendaries, the gods of the Shinobi. And of course, for Naruto to complete his journey, he'll have to take down the mighty Elite Four and the most powerful ninja in the world, the Champion. But to do that, he's of course going to need a real strong starter Pokemon, and don't worry Naruto, I've got you absolutely covered. Because I've created 3 original starter Pokemon with their own signature moves to help Naruto and his friends conquer the Naruto world. And so let's kick things off with the water-type starter, Vipenot.
Vipenot, the Snake-Row Pokemon. It uses its curled-up body to spring out at its target and then strong fangs to pierce through their defenses. Behind its cute eyes is hidden darkness, waiting for the right moment to strike.
As you might guess, its name comes from the words Viper and Knot, and its entire evolution line pretty much takes inspiration from the Great Snakes of Ryuchi Cave. And specifically, the line here draws inspiration from Manda, the Great Snake used by Orochimaru and Kabuto, as well as Sasuke's snake, Aoda. You'll also notice that along its underbelly it has the curse mark Tomoe, which ties it to both Sasuke and Orochimaru, as it's of course the signature design of the Sharingan as well. And it also has some fierce fish fins that help it slither through the water at high speeds as well. And I think the cutest little detail we added, its right fang is just a little bit larger than the left here, which is kind of meant to be a play on the gimmick of Naruto summoning, where you have to bite your own thumb to get a little bit of blood for the jutsu. Vipenot is a little physical guy who uses his speed and attack stats to take care of his opponents really quickly. It can boost the damage of water-type moves with its ability Torrent, but it also gets access to a wicked hidden ability with Rough Skin. As for moves, it gains access to fun and tactical moves like Grab and Flip Turn, and then can also use Coil, for example, to raise its own stats up so it can finish off its opponents with a nasty bite attack. Overall, I think he's a pretty cute little guy, but has the potential to evolve into a truly fierce second stage Pokemon. Cue the music. Whoa, there it is. Okay, Pokedex, who's that Pokemon?
Cobrate, the Binding Cobra Pokemon. Despite its tied-up body, this predator springs to life when it senses fear. It leaps forward at speeds faster than a car to wrap up its prey, draining them of their chakra.
Alright, well that was a little bit dark, but I guess so are most Pokemon entries nowadays pretty much. I think this is just the perfect evolution of this little snake knot here, becoming a braided cobra. And while yes, I do know that it kind of looks a little bit like a pretzel, it definitely isn't. This shape is actually called an obi knot and is the rope used to secure a kimono. And of course, if you're a Naruto fan, you'll clearly recognize it from Orochimaru, Sasuke, and pretty much all of the Sound Ninja's clothing as well. I'd say it's pretty much an Orochimaru staple and all of his disciples wear it. So to me, it only makes a lot of sense that this line based on him has it as well. And yes, as you can tell, its right fang continues to outgrow the left, and I kind of wonder if that will still be the case when it evolves again. But enough about design here. Let me tell you what this bad boy can actually do. And of course, for starters, it's an even stronger and faster version of Vipenot, really embodying that fast physical sweeper position on a team. And if you're not a huge Pokemon fan, that's basically a sort of fan term given to Pokemon with high speed and attack stats that quickly dismantle an opposing team before they themselves get the chance to even attack. Now, Cobrate here learns even stronger water and dark type moves like Crunch, a powered up version of Bite, as well as Aqua Jet, one of the most useful water type moves out there. But it also really gains some new extra type coverage through moves like Ice Fang and Poison Fang, which play on Orochimaru's mastery of ninjutsu and also help inflict strong status effects like Freeze and Poison. And this can really help Cobrate dominate the battlefield. Now, combining these with its hidden ability Rough Skin ensures that Cobrate always hurts its opponent even if it loses. You know, just like Orochimaru when he fights Hiruzen or Sasuke in his battles with Naruto, I mean, even when you defeat them, they still end up taking you down with them.
I won't lie, Sasuke could Chidori me through the heart and I'd still love him.
Alright, Cobrate is a great Pokemon, but something tells me that its evolution is gonna be an extra wicked Pokemon. And look, it's evolving again. What convenient timing. Whoa, okay. That thing, I think, looks insane. Tell me more, tell me more.
Obirochi, the snake demon Pokemon. Its fangs grew to such a massive size, its only choice was to break them off and use them as weapons of pure destruction. Once it ties up an enemy, they are already dead. No opponent is strong enough to break through its restriction.
Now for Obirochi's name, we drew inspiration from a couple of key words here, notably Obi, which we discussed earlier is the knot around its waist, but also Orochi, the 8-headed snake demon from Japanese mythology. In fact, in Japanese mythology, this demonic serpent fought Susanoo, the god of storms, in a truly epic battle that changed the entire world. And of course, if all of that sounds familiar, it's exactly because it is the direct inspiration for Itachi and Orochimaru's legendary battle, where Itachi uses his Susanoo to seal away Orochimaru, who has at this point transformed into an 8-headed serpent beast by using the Totsuka blade. Because come on, we do love ourselves a mangaka who uses mythology as inspiration. As the Pokédex mentioned, Obirochi's fangs grew too big for its own mouth, so it kind of just snapped them off and used them as twin swords. Of course, we made sure that the left fang is still shorter, so it's actually assumed the Hyoho Niten Ichiryu sword style, because this sword style, translated as the school of two heavens as one, is basically assumed when a wielder uses a katana and a wakizashi, a longer and shorter samurai blade at the same time. And as you can see, Obirochi gets an even bigger obi knot made out of its shedded snake skin, and the tomoe on its underbelly move up to its shoulders and upper body. But now that we've covered its design, it's now time to talk about how epic this mon is gonna be in battle. For starters, Obirochi gains a new typing, becoming a water and dark type Pokemon, boosting the damage output of all of its dark type moves. It now gains access to strong moves like Night Slash, Poison Jab, and the incredibly tactical move Knock Off, a move that gets rid of the opponent's held item. And of course, since we truly want to try and embrace its Naruto-verse inspiration, Obirochi also gains access to the move Final Gambit, an all-or-nothing move that knocks out Obirochi itself, but deals all of its remaining HP as damage to the target. Because at all cost, this guy will crush his enemy even if it breaks his own body. But honestly, who needs all of these moves when Obirochi also gains access to its own signature move, Octofang? Because by using its gnarly fang swords, Obirochi slashes the target 6 to 8 times, and while each hit only has 10 power, making them fairly weak, it also has a 30% chance to flinch the target as well. Which maybe doesn't seem that broken at first, until you remember how much stronger it gets when you consider Obirochi's hidden ability now changes from Rough Skin to Super Luck, raising its chances of landing a critical hit. And so ultimately, Obirochi is just a deadly assassin Pokemon that's unmatched in a one-on-one battle. And that's pretty much why Naruto won't even get a chance to use it, because his rival Sasuke is of course just gonna be swooping in and taking it without hesitation. Then Sasuke told everyone that he was going to use his new Pokemon to kill his brother and just ran towards Route 1. Really weird guy, honestly. Kinda wonder if we'll run into him again. Alright, but next up we have our Grass-type starter line. Maybe this will be what Naruto chooses? After all, he does want to be the Hokage of the Hidden Leaf Village? So let's just shift over to our next Pokemon, the Grass starter, Snailleaf.
Snailleaf, the snail trail Pokemon. It uses the petal-like shield around its eyes to block out the sun and negative energy from enemy Pokemon. Its light trail is said to have magical healing properties if used correctly.
Now obviously, Snailleaf's name is clearly based on the word snail and leaf, and its evolution line draws inspiration from the majestic and wonderful Lady Katsuyu, the slug lord of the Shikotsu forest, which I just realized directly translates to damp bone forest, which is just super weird and freaky, and I kind of don't know how I feel about that, to be honest with you.
You're a damp bone.
All right. We don't have to go there, Pompon, please.
I call it like I see it. What can I say?
Now, I kind of wanted Snailleaf here to be a cute little slug that has a bunch of hidden potential and is just the most adorable thing ever. I mean, look at it. I want one. No, I want two. I want 1,000. Yeah, I think 1,000, that might be enough. Now, since it's a starter Pokemon, it can't do all that much at first, but it's also a pain to get rid of. It kind of takes Lady Katsuyu's role in the series very seriously, being a long-lasting healer on the battlefield. Especially with healing moves like Absorb and Synthesis, Snailleaf isn't going anywhere quickly. And yes, it also has the regular ability Overgrow, but its hidden ability Triage, I think that's how you say it. That one really helps with the healing as well. And let me tell you, its bulky healer vibes get only more terrifying and powerful when it evolves into its second stage. So I believe in you, Snail Leaf. Come on, evolve and let the beauty of cherry blossoms color the world. Quick, Pompon, can you grab me the Pokedex?
Nah, I'm good, man.
Alright, cool. Thanks for the help as always. I'll do it myself.
Slugura, the healing slug Pokemon. When the Sakura petals grow on its back, it gains access to hidden extrasensory powers. This Pokemon can dominate the battlefield with its cognitive powers and life-draining ooze. It is said to be a delicacy in the Kalos region.
Now, Slugura here gains its secondary typing much earlier than the water and fire starters in this line, becoming a grass and psychic type Pokemon in the secondary stage. And I personally felt like psychic makes a lot of sense here because medical ninjutsu is a delicate art that requires expert chakra control, and Sakura and Lady Tsunade, the two main people that we know summon the slugs, are obviously absolute experts in this specific style of ninjutsu. But actually, the psychic type has a secondary fun tie-in as well, as Sakura is a genjutsu type ninja, a label given to shinobi who have expert chakra control. So I felt it kind of only made sense that the Pokemon based on her summons taps into this very supernatural genjutsu through the psychic type. Plus, of course, in real life and Japanese folklore, cherry blossom trees are often associated with supernatural or magical powers. They are these sacred symbols of beauty, human life, and transience, and sometimes are said to even possess human souls inside of them, so psychic is by far absolutely the best secondary typing for this rad slug when you really take everything what I just said into consideration. As for the name, this comes from 3 words, slug, goo, and Sakura. And as you'll notice, compared to Snail Leaf, it's gotten a lot bigger already, which tends to be a trend for grass starters for some reason. I mean, look at Bayleaf, Grotle, or Quilladin. They are big compared to other second stage evolutions, I think. Like seriously, Slugura here is a thick slug, and it's got a bunch of new features that really step up the design, I think. It gains another pair of arms, and the 2 little antennae on its head tripled, giving it 6 in total now. And as the Pokedex mentioned earlier, the Sakura petals on its head shifted down and turned into these pretty Sakura petal wings that don't actually help it fly yet, but assist in the supernatural chakra control vibes overall, I think. And we also gave it access to some really good moveset upgrades like the moves Leech Seed, Light Screen, and Hypnosis to stay on the battlefield a lot longer. And even though a slug isn't as exciting at first thought, like this grass starter is actually turning out to be pretty rad, and I have a feeling that it's only gonna get even more wild when it does evolve. So do it, Slugura! Do it! Evolve! Please! I appreciate that. Wow, that is one big slug.
Mentargo, the transcendent slug Pokemon. With its immense psychic power, Mentargo shreds through enemies by channeling the power of the forest, breaking their bodies and their minds. When Mentargo unleashes its full psychic power, it is said to be stronger than an army of a small nation.
Alright, I guess we just turned everything up a little notch. I mean, I gotta say, this thing I think rules. It grew 2 more legs, the Sakura petals on its back flew off and are controlled by its psychic powers now, and the antennas that it had have now turned into powerful antlers that it channels chakra with. Now, if you're an eagle-eyed viewer, you might have also noticed that the new 5th petal floating above its head has a small eyeball in it, kind of representing the fact that it has opened its 3rd eye. In case you're curious, the 3rd eye is a mystical concept that is said to be located in the forehead and is associated with a chakra built on intuition, insight, and mysticism. It's kind of said to help people see the supernatural and metaphysical world, so I just had to weave it into the design of this specific Pokemon. Though I do think that my favorite part of this Pokemon are the markings on its head, because it gains a small Sakura petal mark in its forehead based on Lady Tsunade and Sakura's Strength of 100 seal, also known as the 100 Healings mark. And by combining this super fancy healing mark with the Creation Rebirth technique, these characters gain access to the Forbidden Jutsu, Ninja Art Creation Rebirth, Strength of 100 technique. After all, this is how they both became absolute units of war on the battlefield, and so I just had to represent that on Mentargo's body as well. That's why the Pokedex also said that it could become stronger than the army of a small nation, because it takes direct inspiration from this very jutsu. But there's even more, because the Jutsu Creation Rebirth that lets these characters heal a bunch super fast is also tied to Lady Katsuya as well. So it brings in the whole slug motive again as the strength of the Katsuya summon, which is directly tied to the chakra control and reserves in their medical ninjutsu as well. And that's why I chose to make this line's signature move the epic setup move, Sakura Rebirth. For this move, I thought it would be cool to let Mentargo heal 30% of its maximum HP and has a 75% chance to randomly heal a stat as well. I kind of felt like it played on Creation Rebirth and the strength of 100 seal really well, while not being a just completely broken and bannable move. But when you consider that Mentargo can also use the powerful setup move Cosmic Power, negate enemy healing with Heal Block, and even lower the enemy stats with moves like Lumina Crash or Syrup Bomb, just the fact that it has a stat-raising heal move makes it a dangerous Pokemon that any team would benefit from having. Plus, its new hidden ability, Magic Bounce, drastically impacts enemy status moves, making it incredibly hard to get rid of. And well, as you might have already guessed, Naruto didn't choose this one either. Dang, I really thought the whole leaf thing would hook him up, but unfortunately, when Sakura walked in and playfully said that she liked it, Naruto just fell head over heels and let her take Snail Leaf instead. That boy is down bad. Poor kid. Hopefully he gets over this. But you know what? This may have actually been a blessing in disguise, as there is one last Pokemon that embodies everything Naruto. Let me introduce you to the fire starter, Pyropole.
Pyropole, the hot tadpole Pokemon. It carries a pot of hot coals in the jar on its back so that it may always stay warm. Groups of Pyropole are known to hunt down stronger opponents, flinging themselves at their target to defeat them, regardless of the damage dealt to themselves.
And I'm just gonna say it, this little fireball may just be my favorite design that we came up with of the entire bunch. I mean, his face already gives this, oh yeah, I'm broken inside and I will crush you type of vibe, and he's just a weird little guy, and I absolutely live for it. You know what else I live for? You becoming a Tanuki Tales channel member, because you'll get access to extended cuts of videos like our Smash Bros characters here, early access to our videos, and you'll make me a really happy person, and more importantly, you will finance Pom-Pom's macaron addiction. Shameless plug aside, as you can guess, Pyropole and its evolutions take a ton of inspiration from the Toads of Mount Myoboku, and I have a feeling that his final form may even rival that of the great Gamabunta himself. He's got a little Naruto, a little Minato, and a lot of Jiraiya in him, and to me, that kind of makes for the perfect fire-type starter Pokemon. Its name comes from the words Pyro and Tadpole, and he's small but very mighty, using powerful moves like Ember and Flame Charge, but also the classics like Tackle and Defense Curl. Now, little guy here uses both special attacks and physical attacks, making him what they call in the business a mixed attacker. As you'd guess, he's got access to the normal fire starter ability Blaze, but a truly powerful Pyropole can even tap into its hidden ability, Moody. Sometimes he's angry, sometimes he's pervy, but he's definitely always powerful. Naruto, this toad is all yours. Go take off on your journey and become Hokage and Pokemon champion, and in the meantime, I'll tell the viewers what they actually want to know, which is what your Pyropole will actually evolve into. Conveniently enough, I also have a Pyropole, don't tell Naruto, and mine is about to evolve, so let's watch and see what it becomes.
Look, an even bigger toad thing. Gross. Icky. Hate that.
Alright, please quit. Can you just quit being a hater? It's pretty much just like you. Look, it hangs out in a pot, and you do that sometimes.
Yeah, a teapot. Not some little weird vase jar.
You know what? Truly, I sometimes don't know what I'm supposed to do with you. Okay, Pokédex, please tell me about my new Pokemon, please.
Flarbian, the hidden toad Pokemon. By emptying the pot of coals on its back, this toad warrior can hide from its opponents in plain sight. The pot is incredibly durable after years of holding hot coals, firing it like a kiln. Flarbians have been seen trying to communicate with their foes to not fight, but normally resort to violence.
Alright, so this toad has mellowed out on the outside, but still has a fiery passion on the inside. He kind of looks like the type of guy who would scream, "Believe it!" and then bash you in the skull with his bulky forearms. Plus, it often hides inside of its pots like a stealthy ninja, and legend says that these pots line the halls of bathhouses everywhere in the Naruto world. It truly is a pervy toad unlike any other. Kinda wanted to have it grow horns on its head that kind of mimic the little spikes on Jiraya's headband, as well as some hair that resembles a Minato hairstyle, at least a little bit I think. Its fangs then protrude from its underbite, resembling that of an Oni or an Oni mask, and in case you don't know, Onis are these yokai, a sort of spirit demon creature in Japanese folklore, and they kind of resemble orcs, trolls, or ogres. These creatures are often associated with the Yakuza because of their rough exterior, and I kind of felt like the sort of harder exterior really matched that of the toads. Especially when we think about the mythical toads of Mount Myoboku in Naruto, because they often have horns on their head, so the Jiraiya headband also ties into this part of the design inspiration as well. And actually something else that you might not know is that this Oni and mask aesthetic are very popular aspects of kabuki theater, a very stylized type of stage play in Japan. They're kind of comical and iconic for their dynamic poses and very fun dances, and the reason that this is important is due to the fact that Jiraiya takes a lot of inspiration from kabuki as well, especially those fun little poses that he hits whenever he shows up. And so I really wanted Flurbian and its evolution to also draw heavily on this fun performative design as well, especially when it uses moves like Bulk Up, Fiery Dance, or Power Up Punch. And when you combine this with their hidden ability Moody, you never know what to expect when a Flurbian actually hits the scene. And let me tell you, this goes double for its final evolution, so come on Flurbian, show me what you're really made of. Alright, okay, oh my god. I am so hype about, okay, this design is so sick. I just wanna get my Switch, honestly, and just start playing. Like, what? Okay, Pokédex, you gotta tell me everything there is to know about this absolute beast.
Assaultoads, the Goliath toad Pokemon. Assaultoad are known for their immense power and stubborn demeanor. By using their massive pipes like heavy weapons, they disorient their opponents with titanic hits and smoke screens. While they do seem straightforward and simple-minded, they are incredibly smart when it comes to the art of war.
And finally, our fire starter also gains its secondary typing, the completely unique to only it fire fighting type. Like, I guarantee you, there are no other firefighting starter Pokemon out there, and even if there were, they would not be as good as my Assaultoad here. Alright, jokes aside here, let me break him down for you a little bit. He gains a mighty mane, kind of like Jiraiya-sensei, and becomes a hulking behemoth. His horns now grow to become mighty weapons on his head, and his fangs mimic that of a silverback gorilla. He also does look a little bit like he skipped leg day with that gigantic body of his, which is, you know, totally respectable as a fellow gym bro. Respect. And now the pot that it's carried around since childhood has now become a mighty pipe, and I actually drew inspiration from a different series for this specific physical design, because if you're a Hunter x Hunter fan, you'll probably recognize this pipe as the signature weapon of Morel Macronacy, but this choice was very deliberate as Jiraiya and Morel share a similar role in the series, helping push the main character through their darkest moments. Plus, don't forget that both Jiraiya and Gamabunta both smoke from that big old pipe that they have, so it only makes a lot of sense for Assaultoad to follow suit as well here. And I think my personal favorite design choice we made was the spiral motive on his body, resembling obviously the Uzumaki clan spiral, a nod to the Toad's greatest ally, none other than Naruto himself. But of course I hope you also want to know what Assaultoad can actually do, so who am I to gatekeep that information? Assaultoad brutalizes its opponent with powerful fighting type moves like Close Combat, Hammer Arm, and Victory Dance. And when things get really desperate, or it wants to show off I guess, it can gamble everything on the move No Retreat, which boosts all of its stats but locks it inside of battle. And maybe you know where I got this from, but I kind of felt like I needed to include this because of the tragic Jiraiya and Pain fight where the pervy sage puts everything on the line in a fight that he was never gonna walk away from. But don't worry, because Assaultoad here also has really intense flaming and taps into them with iconic moves like Fire Blast, Heat Wave, and Overheat. Let's just say that his fighting spirit burns true, and it's clear that Assaultoad here has the will of fire. You know, the powerful driving force that pushes all of the Hidden Leaf Shinobi and is essential to becoming the Hokage. Minato and Naruto both have the will of fire and are Toad summoners, but what I do feel is often forgotten is that Jiraiya was also offered this role as well, but he actually ended up declining it as he felt like he was not the best choice, giving that role to Tsunade instead. So is that it? No. I still haven't talked about Assaultoad's signature move, Roasting Thwack. It's a fighting type move, and when it's used, a Saltoad swings its pipe at its enemy, boosting its speed by launching flames out of it as well, kind of like a booster. This move deals incredible damage and has a 15% chance to burn or stun. A truly powerful move that can put its opponents in a bind, especially if they are physical attackers, as the burn status condition halves their own attack stats. But what is truly terrifying is the fact that this Pokemon's hidden ability is Scrappy. In case you don't know, Scrappy allows the user to hit Ghost-type Pokemon with its normal and fighting-type moves, meaning that nobody is literally safe from catching these hands. Whether you're an Edo Tensei Reanimation or a Gengar, you are getting bonked by that pipe. It also has the extra perk of preventing a Saltoad from being intimidated, and that makes him, I guess, even more powerful. We might even have made him a little bit too broken, but it's okay, because he is the main character's starter Pokemon after all. So Saltoad, you are a mighty Pokemon, and in my opinion, the coolest Toad around. Now, no region is of course complete without a fierce group of powerful trainers who you must defeat in order to become the champion. The 8 gym leaders. They rule over the Shinobi region, and to help them do that, I've created a bunch of Shinobi regional variants of popular Pokemon that these gym leaders use as their ace partners. Naruto grabbed his partner Pokemon, so let's go and check in with him as he begins his journey through the Shinobi region to become champion and Hokage, and to do that, he needs to defeat the very first gym leader, Gaara of the Sand. And come on. Of course Gaara had to be one of the gym leaders. He is one of Naruto's worst enemies turned loyal ally, and his status as the Kazekage made it a very obvious choice. He is young and he's one of the most talented gym leaders out there, and considering that he was Naruto's first true rival and a fellow Jinchuriki of the One-Tails, he's the perfect first challenge for young Naruto. And I even heard that he might be next in line to become one of the legendary Elite Four, so let's break down his full power team. Now, there is actually a thing that we learned about in the anime Pokemon Origins and in the games Black and White 2, which is that gym leaders have a variety of teams at different power levels. That way, depending on the amount of gym badges that a trainer has that challenges them, they can just switch their team up to match the right level. Now let's be real, since we all want to see an epic and crazy team, I'll be showing you each gym leader's strongest 4 Pokemon, and the theme for Gaara's team is, big surprise, the ground type. He's a master of sand, so his team is a strong sand-based team that brutalizes their opponents with damage over time, and that's why he leads with his Hippodon. This bulky sand hippo is the frontman of Gaara's team, using its high defenses to stay around and do a bunch of damage. It also has the ability Sandstream, which creates a desert sandstorm on the battlefield, and this sandstorm is very similar to Gaara's sand release and deals a little bit of damage each turn to any Pokemon that doesn't have the ground, rock, or steel typing. But then there's also his next Pokemon, Pelicent. And this freaky little sandcastle is based on all the various sand structures that Gaara also makes, like his sand wall, and sand burial, and sand prison, or sand pillar. This guy really likes sand. And come on, a literal sandcastle is just perfect for his team, especially when you consider that in the novels, Gaara uses a move known as Sandcastle Wolfhorn, which, by the way, is also what I'll be making at the beach later today.
Of course you are. Only you would go to a beach to build sandcastles at 45 years old.
Okay, I am not 45, first of all. Like, are you blind or something? Look how young I look. Okay, she's really mean sometimes, I swear. Anyway, if defense isn't working, or when his enemies are, at low HP, Gaara then unleashes his Marowak, a ground-type Pokemon known for beating down its opponents, and also, fun fact, for having a dead mom. Gaara's birth killed his mother, and he carried that pain and darkness with him basically his entire life, just like a Marowak who carries its dead mother's skull on its head, I guess. Quickly moving on from this very sad fact, it's now time for Gaara's ace, the first Shinobian Pokemon of the day, Shinobian Shuckle, the absolute defense itself. Now some say it resembles a mythical tailed beast known as Shukaku, but to me, this thing just looks like a Shikaku. Am I right, or am I right?
Boo!
Okay, that jokes aside, this thing is much more powerful than a regular old Shuckle. I mean, it's a ground and bug type Pokemon with max defense and special defense, but also very high special attack. It's a very bulky beast that can easily sweep entire teams if they don't bring a water, fire, or ice type, or flying type, but unfortunately for Gaara, Naruto and Sasuke have the fire and water starters from the last video and managed to break through his defenses just through sheer force and determination. And from there, making their way over to the second gym, Yamato's Grass Gym. Now, as one of the small handful of actual wood-style users in the story and a special member of the Anbu Black Ops, the elite shadow force of the Hidden Leaf Village, Yamato is a very powerful gym leader who uses grass-type Pokemon to knock out his opponent's Pokemon, not assassinate. He's got some freaky lead Pokemon also, such as Trevenant, a Pokemon that takes a lot of inspiration from his role as a vessel for the Hashirama cells. In case you don't know, Yamato here was experimented on and given the wood style by Danzo here, and essentially has the spirit of a dead man inside of him, not quite literally, but figuratively. So I kind of felt like this grass and ghost typing tree made a lot of sense. He's also got an Executor, a classic bulky palm tree that just kind of felt at home on this team for the tree motive that he's going for. And yes, it's one of maybe like, I don't know, 5 total tree Pokemon, so my options are a little bit limited, and since I gave Naruto a shift tree in my anime protagonist video, it was kind of off the table this time, and I wasn't about to give Yamato a Tropius, alright? Then we have Shinatic, a freaky mushroom, and I think that it makes sense because it is one of the very few Pokemon that have the very powerful move Spore, a move that puts opponent to sleep right away. And Hashirama was actually known to use the jutsu Wood Release, Advent of a World of Flowering Trees, a jutsu that summons pollen spores that knock the opponent unconscious. So very fitting. And if all else fails, he can summon his Shinobian Sudowoodo, a grass rock type Pokemon that is actually a tree and even shares the same head shield that Yamato wears too. Now in this region, this Sudowoodo has defended the tomb of Hashirama Senju, and his chakra just kind of seeped out, turning it into a wood style using Pokemon Guardian of the Leaf Village. And as cool as it is, as you can guess, Naruto's fire starter made pretty quick work of this gym too and secured him his second gym badge, and in his path to becoming the champion of the Hokage region, as we do some quick maths, 2 gyms down and 6 to go, but the next one will not be that easy, especially for a trainer like Naruto who uses fire type Pokemon. Because the next gym is a water and ice gym run by the exiled Hidden Ray ninja Zabuza and Haku. And let me just come clean here and say, I love Generation 3, and one of my favorite parts of Ruby, Sapphire, and especially Emerald were their very unique use of double battles. And there's just no better pair of enemies to have as gym leaders than Zabuza and Haku. I mean, they lead off with the insanely powerful pair of Gyarados and Glaceon. Gyarados of course pays homage to Zabuza's most iconic jutsu, the Water Release Water Dragon, and Glaceon just, gives Haku energy, It's an incredible pair that's tough to defeat, especially with very strong moves like Gyarados' Hydro Pump or Glaceon's Blizzard, which, fun fact, hits both enemies at the same time.
It can also be used to chill a refreshing drink, so if your tea is too hot, have a Pokemon use Blizzard. You'll thank me later.
Alright, though, I guess the true nightmare is in their second pair, Shinobian Kabutops and Shinobian Froles. Together, these two are true demons of the mist, unleashing hell on their opponents. Kabutops shifts to become a water and steel type and gains fierce blade arms designed off of Zabuza's iconic sword, Kubikiri Bocho, and walks around in a storm of mist that kind of lowers its enemy's accuracy. And then there's Frostlass, an ice and dark type Pokemon that has Haku's signature mask weaved into its design. Luckily for Naruto, who would have had a really tough time here, Sasuke actually happened to be stuck in this very gym, and so they kind of swallowed their pride and teamed up in order to defeat this gym using their newly evolved Flareon and Cobrate. Those, by the way, are the second evolution of the starters I made in the starters video before, and I just had to make the story match somewhat with the actual Naruto series. I mean, I just remember being a teenager crouching over my TV, losing my mind when Sasuke threw a massive shuriken that then transformed into Naruto and broke through Zabuza and Haku's defense. I don't know, maybe there's actually some hope that Naruto and Sasuke could still be friends in this. Nope. Okay. Sasuke just ran off, giving Naruto the middle finger and going on and on about murdering his brother, who I've, by the way, heard may be part of the evil secret shadowy organization ruling this region. I just hope that Naruto can even make it that far and that he isn't dead when we get there. I mean, I just hope Sasuke figures out his brotherly issues sometime soon, because I mean, this is kind of tough.
I hope he doesn't. He's cute when he gets all brooding and edgy.
Like, is he seriously your type? Like, what's up with all of that?
No, Manu. Look at me. I'm clearly a normal type.
Alright, Naruto, you've got to get over, to the Land of Iron now and defeat its gym leader, Mifune. Now, Mifune is actually a transplant gym leader from the Land of Iron who took over Hanzo's spot. In the actual show, Mifune has a fierce standoff with Hanzo the Salamander and loses to his very mighty poison style, but that's not how it would go in the Pokemon world, seeing as Steel resists poison, so Mifune made pretty quick work of Hanzo and took over his gym instead. Now, this samurai uses fierce Steel Pokemon to slice down their opponents, and that is very clear with his lead Pokemon, Aggron, a Gen 3 staple, one of my favorites. This massive, hulking rock and steel type Pokemon literally dons samurai armor. It's got high defenses and is a monstrous threat for opponents who aren't ready for it. There's also Mawile, a steel and fairy type Pokemon that also dons a samurai cloak, but kind of substitutes the top knot thing for a giant mouth that bites down on its enemies. I don't know about you, but I felt it made sense in multiple levels, It kind of actually also pays tribute to Hanzo, the previous gym leader, as he summons Ibuse, which is this massive venomous salamander that eats its opponent with its gigantic bite. And then, of course, no samurai is complete without a proper sword, and that's why Mifune also has Aegislash. This is a ghost and steel type Pokemon that is just literally a massive big old sword. I mean, you cannot hit the nail on the head any harder than that, especially when you remember that Hanzo is the general of the Land of Iron, and according to the Pokédex,
I had an Aegislash once. It helped me take over the Hidden Rain village, but I handed it off to a goth dude with sick nose piercings.
Ooh, what ominous foreshadowing. Moving on from that, Mifune's final Pokemon is the most Mifune Pokemon of all time, a shiny King Gambit. That's right, seeing as Mifune himself isn't an actual shinobi and a transplant gym leader, it didn't really make a ton of sense for him to have a shinobian Pokemon, but that's okay, because honestly, this shiny samurai general makes more than up for anything. It's a dark and steel type Pokemon that uses powerful sword moves like Sword Dance, Night Slash, Kowtow, Cleaves to slice and dice its enemies. And thanks to its ability, Supreme Overlord, by coming out last, it gains an attack boost from all its fallen allies. So, Aggron, Aegislash, and Mawile, your sacrifices will not be in vain. Oh, nope, never mind. Sorry, it was totally in vain. Ooh, sorry, man. Them's the break sometimes. Bad type matchup, I guess. I guess you can't win them all, Mifune, or really any of them if we're talking about your actual canon fights, I guess. Alright, we're halfway through the gym leaders at this point, and Naruto has taken on some truly powerful enemies, but his greatest challenges still await him as gym leaders 5, 6, 7, and 8 are truly next level ninja and even better Pokemon trainers. And so we move on to gym number 5 as Naruto makes his way home from the Land of Iron and faces off against his sensei, Kakashi Hatake. Now, Kakashi is the normal type gym leader of the Konoha City Gym and the perfect halfway point test for Naruto and I guess also Sasuke's journey. And actually, right as Naruto rolls up to face Kakashi, he sees Sasuke walking out triumphantly. Now, Naruto is one step behind here, just like usual in the series as well it seems, but you can change that right here now, Naruto. Defeat your sensei and make him believe it. It being your dream, of course, of becoming Pokemon champion. Now, he won't make it easy, of course, and leads with his first Pokemon, Smeargle. Now, this little painter Pokemon has the very unique and broken ability to use any move by copying it with his signature move, Sketch. And if you ask me, this is just the single most Kakashi mechanic in all of Pokemon, and just completely embodies the spirit of Kakashi, the copy ninja. He's a man that has mastered over 1,000 different jutsu, and this Smeargle knows, well, 4, but they are are pretty strong moves. Naruto, quickly, before it uses something crazy, take it down. What? He baited you? How dare he? Well, in true ninja fashion, Kakashi deceived his enemy and actually led with his Hisuian Zoro arc. And God, let me say, this is just a name and a half to try and pronounce. Sorry that I probably completely butchered it, but this sneaky normal and ghost type Pokemon has the ability Illusion, letting it appear like a different Pokemon that Kakashi has in his party.
Classic Tanuki behavior. I respect it.
And once you make it past this trickster, then you actually have to duel with Smeargle here. That's 2 of 4, so what's next? Oh no, it can't be. Ditto? Of course, Kakashi needed one of those as well, I guess. It's the most copy ninja thing you could ever do as well. I mean, with this special guy by his side, Kakashi of the Sharingan can go all out and prove that he's capable of doing anything that you can do as well. But you know as well as me that sometimes copying straight up isn't enough. You have to use a jutsu that you actually invented. Or, in this case, a Pokemon that's directly inspired by. Meet Shinobian Staraptor. This electric and flying type variant is practically a living Chidori. And hey, I mean, its feathers even form this mask just like Kakashi. How slick and cool is that? Now, this raptor, which is a specific subgroup of birds of prey, in case you aren't up to date on your bird facts, takes inspiration from the translated name of the Chidori, the 1000 chirping birds, and fits right in as Kakashi's ace partner, seeing as he invented the lightning blade himself. Plus, if that wasn't good enough, the Staraptor has the ability Galvanize, converting its normal type moves to electric attacks. That way, it still fits into the normal team, just a little bit different if you get my drift. And even though Naruto's been struggling, he somehow manages to pull through here, so good job on defeating Kakashi, Naruto. I'm pretty proud of you, but there's now even bigger fish to fry, because one town over is the legendary gym leader of youth, Might Guy. The 6th gym leader of the Shinobi region, Might Guy, uses powerful, yeah, you guessed it, fighting type Pokemon, all themed after his special jutsu. And first up is Quackwivel, a fighting and water type bird Pokemon based on the Asaka Jaku, aka Morning Peacock. This light-footed dancer unleashes devastating attacks and forces you to keep up the tempo as well. Go dance a burning dance of youth, Naruto. Okay, good, you took care of that one. But next up is something even more terrifying, which is his Shinobian Arcanine. You see, Might Guy here doesn't care about my video structure, nor about saving his ace Pokemon for the end. He just sends out this fire and fighting version of Arcanine based on the mythical White Tiger to deal with weak opponents. And this good boy here takes inspiration from Guy's signature move, the Hirudora, aka the Daytime Tiger. Now, Might Guy, I gotta say, you're a true monster, and I can't see why you're revered as the strongest taijutsu user of all time. But you know, you'll need something a little bit more to actually take down the Naruto Uzumaki. Oh god. No, don't send out the Midnight Elephant. Oh god, great Tusk. Alright. This paradox form of Donphan is a fighting and ground type behemoth and crushes opponents with moves like Earthquake or Headlong Rush. And honestly, I'm a little bit terrified to see what's next here, seeing everything he's sent out so far. What did Mighty Guy here save for last? Well, of course, it's Hitman Rock Lee. The raging Pokemon of youth has a dynamic entry and unleashes mighty kicks. Now, I hope that you also knew that he just had to have this Pokemon. After all, his star pupil is named after Bruce Lee, Might Guy takes heavy inspiration from Bruce Lee, and Hitman Lee does the exact same thing. And yeah, I did probably make the most busted gym leader squad Might Guys, and I think that's okay because my boy deserves it. And you know, I just realized that Guy has a lot in common with the next gym leader, Electric Master Killer Bee, because they're both loud, passionate, and Kisame Hoshigake hates both of them more than anything. So say your prayers and say yo-ho here, because it's now time for the mighty Killer Bee to show you how they do it in the Hidden Cloud City. And he quite literally rocks the mic with his first Pokemon, Rotom. This electric ghost Pokemon takes the form of a microphone and helps the 8-Tails Chinchuriki get the people really going. And then if you can somehow handle the epic rhymes of Rotom, B sends in Electros. Now this goofy eel may seem a little bit strange, but it's a truly fierce Pokemon with zero, and I repeat, zero weaknesses. Thanks mostly to its ability Levitate, which enables it to float off the ground, making sure that ground-type moves deal no damage to it whatsoever. And in case you didn't know, Levitate is the most killer bee ability of all time because, as the legend himself says, float like a butterfly and sting like a bee. Now, of course, that being said, you still can take it down with other types of moves, and if you do, you've now got to face off against the bulky menace Electivire. And let me just say, this Pokemon just oozes Killer Bee from all seams because they are built exactly the same. Broad shoulders, fierce electric punches, and that love of battle. And when Killer Bee uses Lariat and his Electivire uses Thunder Punch, they can crush enemy trainers and Pokemon with a vicious 1-2 combo. And yes, I did just imply that Killer Bee also fights the trainers who enter his gym. He was trained to kill children in the 3rd grade Ninja War, so it only makes sense that he tried here in the world of Pokemon as well, right? Alright, so you've held your ground pretty well, Naruto, so far, so it's now time for B's ace in the hole, a Shinobian Grapploct, a poison and electric type demon, because with those horns, the tentacles, the bullish demeanor, if it wasn't clear that this bad boy is fully based on Gyuki, the 8-tails, yeah, it should be pretty obvious now that you see it. And it can use some cool poison moves like Sludge Bomb, very similar to the 8-tails Ink Release, and unleash powerful grapple attacks like Seismic Toss thanks to its tentacles. And yet, somehow, despite all odds, somehow Naruto has defeated B and has claimed his 7th gym badge out of 8. But not only that, I did notice that Sasuke was at the Pokemon Center and on his way over to the gym because I guess he must have lost against B just like he did in the series with his water starter. So quickly, Naruto, you've only got one more gym badge to claim and you're in front of Sasuke, so rush back to Konoha City to claim the final and 8 badge right now. Because that's right, below Kakashi's gym in Konoha City on the surface is the secret Anbu Black Ops gym led by the most talented ninja of his generation, Itachi Uchiha. Wait, okay, I'm a little bit confused here. I thought he was part of the evil guys, but he's also a gym leader? How does that work? Well, I'm sure we'll find out when Naruto beats him down, but that will be a lot harder said than done, seeing as he's a master of fire and dark type Pokemon, which becomes immediately clear when we see his lead Pokemon, Houndoom. It's a fierce fire and dark type Pokemon that unleashes incredibly strong fire. Because according to the Pokédex, if you're burned by its flames from its mouth, the pain will never go away. And yeah, that kind of sounds like Itachi's eternal black flame jutsu, Amaterasu, if I ever heard anything sound like it. That was a weird sound. Anyways. No wonder that this man uses Houndoom. In fact, every single Pokemon is tied to Itachi's legendary moveset. So, chop, quickly take it down, Naruto, so we can actually see the rest of his cool team. Oh, God damn it. All these stupid Sharingan users have Zoroark now? Alright, stop using tricks to mess with me here, but it does make sense, I think. I mean, Itachi is very well revered for his nearly unbreakable genjutsu, and this ability perfectly lines up with just that. Plus, I kinda thought it would be a fun little gimmick that both gym leaders located in Konoha City have Sharingan users and Zoroarks to match that as well. Alright, but once this guy and the Houndoom are out of the picture, next up is Honchkrow. Now, we both know that Itachi is famous for using ravens and crows in many of his forms. He has a crow clone jutsu, constantly has them floating around him, and he can even use genjutsu through them, as we see when he implants Shisui's genius Koto Amatsukami into Shisui's crow and shoves that thing down Naruto's throat. Now, it was supposed to save Sasuke, but nope, it saved him instead. And then finally, the most powerful Pokemon on Itachi's whole team is none other than Shinobian Lunatone. This Blood Red Moon is a fire and psychic type, and as you can tell from its super edgy appearance, it's based on the Sharingan itself. But not only that, it is a psychic type because it's also based on the Tsukuyomi, Itachi's bread and butter genjutsu. And let's be real here, I just had to make this a Lunatone because the Jutsu Tsukuyomi is named after the Japanese goddess of the moon, making Lunatone here the perfect fit for a special Itachi-themed Pokemon. Nonetheless though, go break through that genjutsu and claim your 8th badge, Naruto. There you go, man. Nice. Congratulations. You have done it. But wait, what's this? The video isn't actually over? Because there are 2 secret gym leaders I didn't actually mention yet. Now, previously talked about that Kakashi and Mifune are actually replacement gym leaders because they took over after the previous people were defeated and died, but their teams are super fierce and I did want to go over them as well. Starting with the Leaf Village's second Hokage, Tobirama Senju. And Tobirama is the absolute peak of water style, and so of course he led one of the most impressive water type gyms around. Konoha here may have been the Leaf Village, but this gym was the water that let those leaves flourish. So let's start with his guaranteed lead, Politoad. Now at first this may seem strange to you since Tobirama wasn't a toad summoner, but it makes a lot of sense if you've played a lot of Pokemon. Because Politoad has the ability Drizzle, which lets it summon a rainfall when it enters the battlefield. And this rain effect then boosts the damage of all water type moves by 50%. And when you factor in all his Pokemon also gain the same type attack boost of 50%, that means it essentially doubles all of his team's damage output so long as they use a water move. Next up is his heavy hitter, Basculegion. Now, this ghost and water type Pokemon represents the most infamous jutsu Tobirama created, the reanimation jutsu. It's a strong and physical beast using strong moves like Water Crash and Head Smash to crush its enemies, and thanks to its ability Swift Swim, its speed is doubled in the range set up by Politoad. Most trainers are pretty simply crushed by this deadly combo, but an even worse fate awaits those who actually manage to defeat it because they come face to face with Tobirama's fierce ally, Kingdra. If you've actually played any Naruto games or seen Tobirama in action, you do know that he's a true master of the Water Dragon Jutsu, and so I just had to give this dude a true Water and Dragon type Pokemon to match that. Not to mention that it truly picks up the pace, being even faster than Basculegion since Kingdra also has Swift Swim as an ability. Overall, I felt it really fitting to let him have this mighty ruler of the ocean, seeing as it embodies his standing as one of the Hokage. But don't worry, I saved the best for last, as Tobirama has a truly fierce Shinobian ace up his sleeve, Shinobian Gallet. Galate? I think it's Gallet. Alright. Inspired by Tobirama's ruthless tactics on the battlefield and flying Raijin Jutsu, this water and psychic type physical attacker sweeps entire teams all on its own. It simply charges its chakra with a setup move like Sword Dance and then cuts down its enemies with Psycho Cut or Aqua Step. And yes, you guessed it, he's also rocking Swift Swim, becoming the fastest and heaviest hitter on Tobirama's entire team. This is a true partner Pokemon fit for a Hokage. And now that we've covered him, I want to shift over to the Poison type master, Hanzo, because he leads off with a cruel beast in the form of his Overquill. This dark and poison type pufferfish is probably the most evil thing that he has on his team, as it is a terrain setter. But its job isn't sun or rain, its job are spikes, because it covers the field in toxic spikes and regular spikes, which will then deal damage and poison to any Pokemon that enters the battlefield, as long as they are in poison or flying types. If you've played any competitive Pokemon, you'll know that it's a very nasty strategy that will always give Hanzo a slight edge in battle, and of course, his next Pokemon, Toxicroak, takes full advantage of that. By rushing down his enemies and slicing them up with its nasty hand blades, it defeats anything in its way. And with strong moves like Poison Jab or Shadow Claw and the incredibly fast Bullet Punch, Toxicroak lowers down the HP of its enemies so that the deadly poison can then fully knock them out. And if that doesn't work, Hanzo can always stall his enemies out with a mighty wall, which is his Clodsire. Now, this variation on Quagsire was absolutely crucial for his team, as it totally mimics the summoning partner he has in the series, Ibuse. And while this massive poison axolotl is a terrifying summon in Naruto, this Clodsire just chills there and uses Recover all the time to heal back all the damage that he takes, which is actually even more cruel, seeing as it means that they'll be knocked out by a deadly poison more slowly, but nonetheless more deadly, very painfully. At least until Hanzo's true partner, Shinobian Nidoking, hits the battlefield. And seeing as Hanzo had a truly remarkable standoff with Mifune, I kind of felt it fitting to turn his partner into a Poison and Steel type Pokemon to pay tribute to that. This massive samurai meets kaiju style beast slaughters its opponent with devastating sludge waves and earth powers, and seeing as it is a Nidoking, it only makes sense I give it to the leader of the Rain Village. He's vicious, he's toxic, and he is the strongest Nidoking around. Oh wait, hold on. It seems like Itachi wants to tell us something. What's that you say? You invaded the evil team and Naruto now needs to defeat them before they can use the legendary Pokemon of the Shinobi region to take over the world?
Yikes. Talk about that timing. We were just about to get crucial exposition.
Oh god. What are you gonna do? Alright, quickly Naruto, you've got to chase them down and find the evil team. Chase after Sasuke, maybe he'll know something. The evil dawn has risen, which could only mean one thing. The infamous criminal organization Team Akatsuki has arrived. And it seems like Sasuke has joined their forces after defeating Itachi, and so it's up to you to take care of business and save him and the world, Naruto. But first, he'll have to get through the Akatsuki's main fighting force, the Zetsu Grunts. Now, these little freaks here use a variety of generic Pokemon like Golbat, Trevenant, and Victreebel, as well as the Shinobi region exclusive Pokemon, Puffon. Hell yeah, little buddy. Now, this little red cloud is inspired by the iconic Akatsuki cloak, of course, and is a flying and dark type Pokemon, its name being based on the words puff, a poof of smoke and cloud that kind of generally fits with the ninja vanishing vibe and cloud branding that the Akatsuki have going on. Okay, but it's also based on the word pawn and dawn, a generic foot soldier, and, the rising sun, which I think makes a lot of sense because it's used by these Zetsu Grunts, but what you may not know is that the word Akatsuki itself in Japanese means dawn or daybreak. And don't you worry, because I made sure that Puffon even has an edgy little bang to prove it's a real bad guy.
You got a point there, Manu. All edgy teens have evil bangs.
Correct. And I also took some design inspiration from other Nintendo series like Kirby's villain Krako, to get the shape and form of this guy really down. And while I gotta say he's kind of cute, the same can't be said about its evolution, Shinimbus. Now this guy is the Blood Cloud Pokemon and takes several design inspirations from the Akatsuki. First up, it's a bigger cloud. That's kind of obvious, but it also has these floating rings around it, and they are based on the incredibly useful and totally not forgotten Akatsuki rings, a special ring that each member usually wears to communicate remotely with their comrades, and it's got one between each hand and the body, and then one very big one that, floats around the main body. Not only that though, but can you see that line that cuts through the eyeball on the side? That line is of course symbolic of the missing nin headband, a sign that a ninja has abandoned their village by scratching a line through their headband. All the Akatsuki seem to wear them, and so it's kind of very fitting that the generic grunt Pokemon has this design element too. And speaking of missing nin, watch out Naruto, I do see a missing nin over here coming to defeat you. He must be coming to take you out because Itachi warned you about the Akatsuki, right? Oh, Naruto. Classic beginner mistake. You locked eyes with him, which now means you have to battle with him with Deidara. He's a master of ground and electric type Pokemon because in the Naruto series, he uses both Earth Release and Lightning Release to create his signature Kekkei Genkai explosion style. Hell yeah. Like any good Akatsuki member, of course, he leads off with his Shinimbus, but it's very quickly defeated. Sorry, Amanda. The clouds look really cool, but just not that strong. Unlike his next Pokemon, Claydol. Now, Claydol is, as the name kind of suggests, the clay doll Pokemon, which fits perfectly in with Deidara's C4 art sculpture vibe. This ground and psychic Pokemon has two goals, the first of which is setting up Stealth Rock, which kind of like mimics Deidara's landmine technique, and then like any good Pokemon should do, it uses the move Explosion, dealing massive damage. Ha! Nice. After Claydol explodes, he then sends out the next Pokemon, Electrode, and this incredibly fast electric type Pokemon also uses Explosion and takes out his enemy.
I think I'm starting to catch on to your plan here, Deidara.
Yeah. After Electrode destroys its target, he then sends out Magnezone, the Magnet Area Pokemon, and this guy floats around unleashing devastating attacks like...
He uses explosions.
No, I was gonna say Zap Cannon, and then it uses Explosion.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Tell us about the next one, please.
Okay, yes, Deidara has an explosion team, okay? I mean, how could he not, right? But he does have one ace Pokemon that shoots explosions instead. His Shinobi and Dratigan, a ground and dragon type Pokemon based on Deidara's C4 Dragon. And I mean, I thought about powerful dragons like Dragonite or silly ones that kind of fit the vibe like maybe Drampa, but then I remembered that Dratigan gets absolutely no love from anyone ever, like what? And decided to fix that ASAP. Shinobi and Ratigan uses strong moves like Outrage, Earthquake, and Thunderfang to destroy its opponent. And if push really comes to shove, it goes out with a bang. This Pokemon is Deidara's true art, and you know, as we know, true art is an explosion.
Really? Did you seriously have to do that? You got ash and clay all over my manga.
Yeah, sorry. That's my bad. I thought that would go differently. I don't know why the editor did that. All right. Naruto, heal up your Pokemon because we've got to defeat the rest of the Akatsuki and figure out what their plan is, and most importantly, of course, save Sasuke.
No, don't save him. I like him edgy and broken.
All right. Okay, Naruto makes his way out of the Hidden Leaf and starts chasing after Sasuke east towards the Hidden Mist Village. But on his way to catch up with his boyfriend, with his rival, that's the one, he runs into a fierce-looking enemy. They lock eyes and it's on. The water and dark type demon Kisame Hoshigaki. Now, this half shark, half man, 100% beast is hailed as the tailed beast with no tail, and in the Shinobi region, he backs that title up with his incredibly broken Pokemon team. And Naruto, are you gonna be able to handle this one with your fire starter? Oh, wow, who's that guy in the forest there? Oh, it's Might Guy. What is he doing here? All right, I guess he wanted to crush Kisame a second time. I guess you can, run after Sasuke, Naruto. I'll tell the viewers about Kisame's team in the meantime anyway. Starting with his Shinimbus, which uses... Oh. Okay, Guy already defeated it. Nice. Next up is his Dreadnought, a water and rock Pokemon. And listen, I really wanted to make his team just straight up just shark Pokemon, but there somehow are not that many shark Pokemon. Gotta fix that, like, please make more shark Pokemon. So instead I went with any Pokemon that really matches Kisame's vibe instead, such as this guy who's got big razor-like fins and sharp fangs that snap, crackle, and pop their targets. Luckily, Guy's Shinobi and Arcanine made pretty quick work of it, which you can, by the way, find out everything about in the second Gym Leader video if you haven't yet. But next up is Kisame's Dondozo, a massive water beast, and I really like that guy. Apparently it's a giant catfish and not a huge whale shark. A little bit disappointing, but despite this, it still has a lot in common with Kisame. Its Pokédex entry says that it follows Tatsugiri like it's its boss and follows it loyally, though powerful, Dondozo is apparently not very smart. And considering that Kisame is like the single most loyal Akatsuki member who sticks around way longer than anyone else since he doesn't feel like a person with purpose in his mind, it seems that Dondozo and Kisame really have loyalty in common. Unfortunately though, it does get defeated by Hitmonlee like instantly, and so we're moving on to his Pangoro, which I have to admit, I'm a little bit confused about. I guess this dark and fighting type Pokemon matches the cutthroat and fight first, ask questions later, mentality that Kisame is going on, but I don't really see why else it would be on his team.
Don't worry, Manu. Me and Pangoro used to have a little thing back in the day. Let me break it down for you. You see, he works for this team because both Pangoro and Kisame are sadistic freaks who love to fight. Seriously, just take a look at some of the Pokédex entries.
Interesting.
It boasts superb physical strength. Those who wish to become Pangoro's trainer have no choice but to converse with their fists. This Pokemon is quick to anger and it has no problem using its prodigious strength to get its way.
I guess when you look at it that way, despite it not being a shark, Pangoro makes a lot of sense for Kisame's team, but obviously not as much sense as the epic water and fighting type Shinobian Sharpedo here. Yes, okay, I had to do it. Come on. I had to create a version of the only shark Pokemon and base it on Kisame's full shark transformation. It was just too easy, let's be real. Kisame has been known to transform and fight alongside his Sharpedo, slashing, biting, and devouring his opponents. And apparently this form of Sharpedo bites the soul and spirit of its target, and it's said that if one of them bites an actual person, they'll have phantom pain in the mark for many years after. As cool as that sounds, unfortunately for it, Might Guy himself defeated both the Sharpedo and Kisame, punching it and then sending them packing. He's truly a nightmare, by the way, and Kisame was just kind of this morning workout at this point. Now, we have seen a bunch so far, but we still really haven't figured out exactly what the Akatsuki are really after here. But according to Guy, it has something to do with a Pokemon called the Thousand-Handed One and the Storm Warrior. Kinda wonder if that has anything to do with the legendary Pokemon of the region. But back to Naruto, I guess. Hopefully he's found a hint towards Sasuke, or maybe even better, the legendaries. Look, okay, he's instead found another member of the Akatsuki, and seeing how there are all these loose paper bombs everywhere, it can only be one person. Conan, the detective, the angel of death.
Finally, a woman in this video. It was beginning to feel like a boys' club here. All right, tell us about her. I'm invested.
All right. Well, you see, in the Shinobi region, Conan is a fierce Konoichi who uses psychic and ghost Pokemon to destroy her enemies. Starting with, and you won't believe this, Ponpon, Shinimbus. Yeah, that's the one. Now, moving on to our next Pokemon already, we have Gothitelle. And this pure psychic type is literally just the perfect Pokemon for Conan. I mean, it's got an edgy black dress, which makes sense considering that Conan was one of the founding members of the Akatsuki with the black robes. Also, I just found out that it gazes into the stars to predict the future, and it acts somewhat detached because it has literally seen the end of all existence. What now? Gonna ignore that, but I kind of felt this was fitting for her because Conan is also a very sad and muted character whose broken and somber vibes somewhat match the Gothitelle's persona. But also, Conan is a sensory type ninja, so this entire foresight ability from Gothitelle makes a lot of sense too. And it just keeps going with Conan's next Pokemon, Hatterene. Now, this psychic and fairy Pokemon can read the emotions of creatures from over 30 miles away, and the minute it senses some hostility, it goes on the attack. So it kind of continues the sensory connection, but also adds Conan's ruthless power to the equation. And after it comes Fluttermane, a nightmarish ghost and fairy type Pokemon which floats around, or I guess it flutters around, which kind of fits with Conan's angel title. Also, just look at those eyes. And okay, now look at Conan's eyes. Okay, put them side by side now, like please, editor. Okay, see, boom. They have the same RBF, and I'm cool with that. Now, Naruto managed to defeat all of these monsters, but the strongest one is finally hitting the field. Conan's angel wings spread, and she sends out her ace partner, the ghost and psychic type Shinobian Gardevoir.
Watch out, Vaporeon. Somebody is coming for your title.
Oh god, please don't look that one up, people. All right. Clearly the inspiration here is Conan's Paper Wings, and it kind of truly embodies her tragic backstory, and as a Pokemon, it is sometimes hailed as the Shikigami, and if you forgot your deep Naruto lore, it's only been 10 years, people. Conan's signature move is the Shikigami dance, where she converts all of her chakra and clothing into paper. Now, the word Shikigami is actually a Japanese word that refers to supernatural creatures summoned to serve their master, and so it's only fitting that Conan's final Pokemon is her strongest servant, a true Shikigami.
All right, tell us what you know, Conan, and look deeply into my eyes when you do.
Thanks for the assist, Ponpon. According to Conan, what she's saying, the Akatsuki are planning to use the Rinnegan to control the legendary Pokemon? It's kind of scary, and I guess Naruto has to find them before Pain does to save the day?
Don't worry, I figured out where he's going. Naruto needs to make his way back to the Hidden Leaf stat. Conan, I'll text you later.
Oh, Naruto, go save your village, man, and call all the gym leaders while you're at it. And considering that I've read the manga, something kind of tells me that there is something much bigger, like a bigger plan unfolding behind the scenes here, and Pain may not be the big bad guy after all. Ooh. Floating overhead above the Hidden Leaf is the man of the hour, Nagato Pain. Quickly, look him in his freaky purple eyes, Naruto. Only then does he have to fight you. It's obligatory. Pain and his Rinnegan have locked eyes with Naruto, and the universe bends to his will. And since their eyes have locked, you know what it means. It is time for a Pokemon battle. Surely, like the rest of the Akatsuki, Pain will lead with his special Pokemon Shinimbus, the red cloud Pokemon, but wait, what's this? He doesn't lead with Shinimbus? Oh god, he must be pretty serious because the Pokemon he's leading with is Incineroar. You see, according to 10-time regional winner and 2016 Pokemon VGC champion Wolfie Glick, that thing is the best Pokemon in the game, period. With its hidden ability Intimidate, it lowers Pokemon's attack and then crushes them with a strong knockoff or Earthquake. But I think there are some pretty good lore reasons to have it on his team as well. You see, Pain controls the 6 paths of, well, pain, one of which is the animal path. That terrifying power is represented by this very Incineroar here. Luckily, Naruto did manage to make quick work of it, but the next big threat is Metagross. This Psychic and Steel Pokemon is not only one of my all-time favorite Pokemon, but also embodies the Ashura path, the path of pain that allows him to transform his body into a mechanical cyborg. And in the story, that allows him to gain access to guns, blades, and laser beam head cannon, I guess? You know, kind of like Metagross, who definitely has laser beam head cannon in the form of its flash cannon, but it's the same thing, come on. Then after the Ashura path comes the Naraka path, which controls life and death, and of course, there is no better fit for a fighter Pokemon that controls life and death than Annihilate, a fighting and ghost Pokemon that literally dies from fighting way too hard. Respect for that one. And when that's not enough, Pain uses the almighty push to launch one more Pokeball onto the field, and this one contains the Diva path itself, Shinobi and Urshifu, the psychic and fighting Pokemon based on Pain's Diva Path design. And in case you're in doubt, seriously, just listen to the traditional Urshifu's Pokédex entries. People call it the embodiment of rage. It's said that this Pokemon's terrifying expression and shout will rid the world of malevolence. All it takes is a glare from this Pokemon to take the lives of those with evil in their hearts, or so they say. Now, if you're asking me, that sounds a lot like Nagato. His dream was to rid the world of violence, the violence that plagued his own life and village, by any means necessary, and so he took the title of Pain because he felt like inflicting such heavy damage upon the world would force them to understand the value of peace. Which, in hindsight, maybe not the best plan, but hey. And so in my Shinobi region, he uses his Divine Justice, his Urshifu, to make the world know pain. But as you know, Naruto and all his Pokemon know the Talk no Jutsu and show Nagato that violence only breeds more violence. However, to break through, he has to defeat Pain's final Pokemon, Shinimbus, you know, the original Akatsuki-themed Pokemon that I designed in our last Akatsuki X Pokemon video.
Oh no, however will he defeat it?
I mean, I guess it makes sense that Nagato's real body is super frail, so of course Pain's last Pokemon would also just be a weakling. And with that, the village is safe for now, but in the distance, a massive explosion just happened. Kakashi runs up and tells Naruto to come with him because apparently there is trouble at the Valley of the End. So they hop on the back of Shinobi and Staraptor and fly off. And whoa, what? Appearing in front of Naruto and Kakashi from a different dimension comes Sasuke and Obito Uchiha. Who knew? Turns out that he must be the secret ruler of the Akatsuki evil Pokemon team. Regardless, he does of course have the Rinnegan, a special eye that lets him manipulate reality, and he's using it on the massive waterfall. Wait, don't tell me that's where the legendary Pokemon are. Alright, quick, while Kakashi's trying to hold off Obito, you've got a job to do, Naruto. You've got to catch one before Sasuke does, because if he gets both, who knows what he'll do, right? But which one will you choose? You see, according to legend in the Shinobi region, the first one is hailed as the god of peace and tranquility. He's the legendary Thousand Hands and based on none other than Hashirama Senju himself. It's the almighty Sidarmani. Now, this grass and fighting type legendary Pokemon I came up with uses a root network that spans across the entire Shinobi region to protect people in times of dire need. And it's said to be able to single-handedly end wars due to its impressive power and 1,000 hands of divine harmony. Speaking of which, you could probably tell that one of the rude words in its name is Harmony, based on its role as the god of peace, but in case you're curious, for the first part of its name, we drew inspiration from the name Siddhartha Gautama, which is, by the way, the person who was literally the Buddha. And of course, Hashirama's wood style draws so much from the Buddha itself, and so it only felt fair to make the legendary Pokemon based on him to draw those same parallels. Plus, it does keep the word arm in its name, a pun on the 1,000 hands that it uses to defeat its foes. But there's more. Pay attention, Pom-Pom, because what we're currently seeing here is actually just its defensive form, where it uses many hands and a zen-like state to bolster its own defenses. And when it's in this mode, it gains access to the ability Wooden Titan, a unique ability that randomly boosts its defense or special defense stat the first time it enters the battlefield and sets the grassy terrain. This helps it heal a little bit of extra health each turn and stay on the field to support his other allies. But if we need to turn up the tempo a little bit, you can now switch its form outside of battle and turn it into its attacking form. And in this mode, it takes inspiration from Hashirama's wood release, Wood human technique. That means it becomes a massive giant and the scroll on its back unravels to reveal the wooden dragon around its waist. Now this form actually has an even bigger reference to Japanese mythology, as the form here is a reference to the Ryutoki, an oni that has a dragon around its own torso as well. Now the reason that this is important is actually because there was a real Buddhist monk known as Koben who sculpted an incredibly famous wooden statue of the Ryutoki, which is hailed as one of the national treasures of Japan. And in his offensive form, its ability randomly lowers the target's defense or special defense stat the first time it enters the battle and gives it a speed boost on top of it. Which of course then really helps it unleash the true power of the wood style. I mean grass type moves. Nailed it. So Naruto, I think this one makes the most sense for you, so you should absolutely catch it. And while you do that, I'm gonna go over the legendary that Sasuke is about to catch too. Because this fierce titan on the other end was set to burn entire battlefields in the past, cursing entire bloodlines. And its love for the Shinobi region manifests in true unyielding power that destroys anything in its path, so long as it keeps its home safe. You know, the fire and dark type storm warrior Susageddon.
Let me take this one, Manu. He is based on someone way too cool for you to talk about.
Ouch. Alright, that one was a little bit hurtful, but go ahead.
Susageddon is based on the ghost of the Uchiha, the devil of Shinobi, Madara Uchiha, and his perfect Susanoo. That's why its title is the Storm Warrior, as Susanoo in Japanese mythology is the god of storms. And if it wasn't clear, the back half of its name embodies its role as the god of war and is based on the word Armageddon, which is the last battle between good and evil before the Day of Judgment in the Old Testament. Kinda morbid, but also kinda hot if you ask me.
Oh, and you also left out that it also draws heavy design inspirations from a tengu, a type of supernatural being in Japanese folklore that is often depicted as a bird-like creature too. This is actually the same type of creature that Naruto Susanoo are really based on, and that's why it has many bird-like features as a titanic beast in our Pokemon region. And since the legendaries obviously come in pairs, this is its defense form, and in it, Susageddon manifests the true power of the Susanoo armor, becoming a literal iron wall. And thanks to its ability Storm Warden, it randomly lowers the attack or special attack stat of its foe and creates a sea of fire on the target side of the field for 4 turns. And this is a deal damage to the enemy over time effect and is actually based on an obscure Gen 5 mechanic called Pledges, in case you remember those. And this kind of lets it hang around with amazing defense stats while its enemies slowly burn away to death. But if that's not enough, it can shift into maximum overdrive and unleash its attack form. And in this state, I think the Susanoo inspiration becomes really clear as its body shifts and molds into a mighty samurai tengu with twin katana. And its ability shifts to become Storm Slaughter and randomly raises its attack or special attack while lowering the enemy's speed stat. This makes it a perfect counter to Sid Harmony and helps it also outspeed its enemies, cutting them down in a swift, dark, or fire type strike. You can probably see why Sasuke very clearly would want this one, so while these kids struggle to battle their legendaries, let's move over and see how Kakashi and Obito's battle is actually going, because it seems like they're still at a standstill as Kakashi's Staraptor is facing off against Obito's Ceruledge. And this Pokemon, I think, just truly embodies the spirit of Obito. As a fire type, it pays homage to Obito's Uchiha clan blood, as they are a fire type specialist clan. Is that a thing? Alright. Meanwhile, its ghost type is also a tie to Obito's fake out death. May I remind you, everyone thought he was dead, but in fact he became another ghost of the Uchiha, which is, you know, a bit of a theme in Naruto, but hey. Which also ties nicely into his other fire and ghost Pokemon, Hisuian Typhlosion, because it's a fellow edgy sad boy that is said to lose control of its emotion when angered, unleashing ghost flames that can incinerate its opponents until nothing remains, which again sounds a lot like what Obito tried to do with the leaf when he found out that his childhood crush got murdered by his best friend. And of course, he's a fellow Uchiha like Itachi, so he also gets access to a special Shinobi and Lunatone. This one, of course, mimics his own Mangekyo Sharingan's pattern. Well, it just seems fitting that he has one, considering that his plan in the original series is to help unleash the Eye of the Moon plan that was like his entire thing. And if all of those Pokemon are still not enough somehow, he busts out his Shinimbus, like a good Akatsuki member, and it's gone. Yeah, that one kind of tracks. I should have designed it maybe a little bit stronger, but hey. This only leaves his single most powerful ally, the most fearsome creation of the Rinnegan, Shinobian Golurk. And this colossal beast is a ground and dark type titan based on the Gedo statue. Now we do see Obito summon this thing a bunch of times throughout the series, and so it kind of seemed very fitting to make his special unique partner a version of the Pokemon that is quite literally a vessel of destruction, right? And if you don't believe me, its original Pokédex quite literally reads, "When the seal on its chest is removed, it rages indiscriminately, turning the whole town around it into a mountain of rubble," which to me just screams Gedo statue, at least to me personally. And you know what else screams? The sound of 1,000 chirping birds of Kakashi's lightning blade swiftly piercing Obito, so rest in peace, you sad, sad man. But this now leaves us with the ultimate matchup, the battle that will determine the fate of the entire Shinobi region, Naruto Uzumaki versus Sasuke Uchiha. Their final battle at the Valley of the End, just like in the original series. And Naruto, of course being a Chad, leads with his newly caught Sidarmani, while Sasuke lets loose his Susageddon. These legends battle in an epic match as wood arms, flaming blades, and war and peace clash at once. The heavens split as they take each other out, leaving Sasuke to send out his next Pokemon, his brothers Shinobi and Lunatone. I guess you're curious, he did steal it after he murdered Itachi, a tribute to Sasuke's goal in the series, but also the fact that he literally took Itachi's Sharingan to craft his own Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan in the series too. However, this powerful moon is equally matched up against Naruto's Ninetales, causing another double KO. And this battle rages forward as Sasuke sends out the edgiest dog alive, Absol. And some of you in the comments already guessed that someone in this region would have to have this thing, and I can think of nothing else that screams Sasuke AMV more than an Absol, not to mention its Pokédex entries refer to it as a warning sign of disaster. But seeing as superstitions were spread about it, it accidentally also became known as a bringer of disaster, very much like Sasuke. And making it even more similar to Sasuke, this feeling fed a hatred of it, and it was driven deep into the mountains, much like Sasuke, who fled the Hidden Leaf and trained with Orochimaru, becoming a missing nin due to his rage and bloodlust not matching the ideals of the leaf. And this match is really close, and as we all know, Sasuke needs to use his bread and butter move, the Chidori, so while he and Naruto clash with a Rasengan Chidori thing, what they do always, Naruto's Shift Tree and Sasuke's Shinobi and Staraptor clash as well. In case you didn't watch our previous video explaining this Pokemon, I used it as a reference to the Chidori itself, which is why Kakashi has one too. And this form is an electric and flying Pokemon variant that mimics the true name of the Chidori, the Thousand Birds, and so I'd argue that Sasuke is actually the true master of the Chidori, converting it into several different variations like the Chidori Shinzo or Nagashi, meaning that this Staraptor reaches its full potential with Sasuke. And speaking of Pokemon themed after Sasuke's lightning style, there is one more move that we have to talk about here. So be gone with the Thunderclap, because this Pokemon is Kirin. Come on, it would be criminal of me to not have the Pokemon equivalent of Kirin in the form of Raging Bolt. Now for those of you who don't know, Kirin is technically not just a giant lightning dragon from the sky, but its name comes from the Japanese word for giraffe, but it's also a mythical creature in several East Asian folklores, but for the purpose of our video here, it's a massive lightning giraffe, and thus Raging Bolt is perfect for Sasuke, I think. It's an electric and dragon-type Pokemon with access to moves like Thunderclap, and part of me thinks that the Pokemon Company designed this thing specifically based on Sasuke's version of the Kirin. I don't know, let me know in the comments if I'm too anime-pilled, but seriously, like, the design inspirations are pretty clear. And at the very least, someone at Game Freak said, yeah, I know how to cook with the Raikou paradox thing, like, leave it to me. So, Sasuke unleashes his Kirin, but it was still not enough. It took down Naruto's Toxicroak, but that leaves them each with one final Pokemon, and this is their true final battle. Naruto throws out his starter Pokemon, Assaultoad, the very first Pokemon that he got on his journey, and standing across from him, Sasuke throws out a fierce snake, his evolved starter Pokemon, the original water starter of the Shinobi region, Obirochi. So cool to see them again finally, and these two are perfectly matched up, because Obirochi is a water and dark type, meanwhile Assaultoad is a fire and fighting type. And so while Obirochi's water type is of course effective against Assaultoad's fire type, his fighting type is super effective against Obirochi's dark type. They are perfect rivals, you get the idea, just like their trainers. Orochimaru and Jiraiya, Sasuke and Naruto, and now Obirochi and Assaultoad. They square up, throw one set of final moves, and in a flash, it is over. Naruto reigns supreme and his assault toad stands proud by his side. Naruto, good job, you've saved the Shinobi region, saved your boyfriend, and proved here what it takes to become Hokage, but what is still left for you is the Pokemon champion of the Shinobi region. But before Naruto can face off against him, he must first defeat the teams of the Elite Four, who happen to be some of the most powerful Shinobi of the modern era, but also the strongest Pokemon trainers, the Kage. Tsunade, Ei, Mei, and Onoki. Let's go, Naruto, your first challenge awaits you, Granny Tsunade here. She's a master of grass Pokemon, and so it's only natural that she leads with her Tsarina, a very strong psychic grass type Pokemon. And yeah, I think it just makes sense that Tsunade would use one of these. When you look at those legs over there, seriously, this thing can crush skulls with moves like high jump kick or drop kick. In fact, I didn't actually know that this one was a move even until making this video, and I love that it's a thing. It's a powerful grass type physical move that embodies what it means to be a hidden leaf Shinobi, I think, and when she needs to really show her enemies her true power, she busts out a devastating Giga Impact. Tsunade must have taught her that one in case a pesky Susanoo appeared. After all, her hits are strong enough to break it, and so are Tsarina's. And with its Queenly Majesty ability, priority moves like Extreme Speed are just completely blocked out in general. I mean, you can try and use your speed to defeat her, but be warned, you'd have to be yellow flash levels of quick in order to get by this one.
Okay, Sarina, I see you.
Yeah, Naruto, you probably shouldn't underestimate her. She is the 5th Hokage. Of course she's gonna be strong. And so is her next Pokemon, the Wicked Serpent Serperior. You see, I kind of felt like I needed to give Tsunade 2 Pokemon that embodied her fellow Sannin, Orochimaru, and Jiraiya. And Serperior here represents the former, as you can probably guess. This slick grass snake fits the creepy and arrogant Orochimaru vibes. Its job is to stun enemies with the move Glare, something it did learn, by the way, in Gen 7, so you can thank Orochimaru for the genetic breeding to make that possible, I guess. And then it unleashes powerful Leaf Storms. Now, normally, Leaf Storm would lower your special attack, but Superior's ability, contrary, makes it raise its special attack when it would normally get lowered. A very powerful strategy, very fitting for one of the legendary Sannin. And if you somehow manage to get past that one, you next need to deal with the fearsome dancer, Hisuian Lilligant. I just needed to make sure that Tsunade had this sleeper threat of a grass and fighting Pokemon on her team as well. This regional variant was actually a gift passed down to her from her grandfather, the legendary god of Shinobi, Hashirama. He told her, "This is the last one of its kind," and fought alongside me in the first Great Ninja War. Treated well Tsunade, and then vanished one night suddenly out of nowhere. And so of course she lets it go wild against strong opponents like Naruto here. Its bread and butter comes in the form of its move Victory Dance, which raises its speed, attack, and defense stats by 1 stage all at once. And so if you give it 1 or 2 turns of setup, it can then crush opponents with a raging flurry of blows, axe kicks, solar blade, and grassy glide, absolutely crushing anything in its way. And since this one is holding the special item, the Power Herb, that Solar Blade, it gets really nasty powerful and can be used in a single turn instead of the usual 2. Of course, this next Pokemon should also look pretty familiar, especially to you, Naruto, because it is Shiftry, but what's up with its hair? Oh wait, it's a pervy tree. Alright, Tsunade is paying heavily tribute to her good friend and low-key secret love interest Jiraiya with this next Pokemon.
Girl, you can do better. Pick me instead.
Honestly, everyone got mad at me for not including this dude on Yamato's team in the gym leader video, and this was why. Also, he was already on Naruto's team from the original Shonen protagonist video I did a while ago, but I did need to bust him out here one last time for Tsunade, I feel. He's pretty strong, but even when that doesn't work, Tsunade is then forced to summon the mighty power of Lady Katsuya, her epic Slug Summon. And from that icky goopy slime comes a menace unlike any other, a Pokemon that's been said to wipe out entire small nations with its powerful jutsu. It is the divine starter Pokemon, Mentargo. And I mean, come on, you shouldn't be too surprised, Naruto. She trained your friend Sakura after all.
Hell yeah. I love the derpy little face on this one. It's giving, I can crush your soul, but I'm also just here for a good time.
Exactly. Mentargo is a grass and psychic type Pokemon with the ability Magic Bounce. No status moves here, this thing is just completely immune to everything. And with its unique move, Sakura Rebirth, it has heavy sustain healing of 30% of its health and has a high chance to randomly raise a stat. So combine this with Synthesis and Leech Seed plus the move Psychic, and this thing can wall just about anything except for Naruto's partner Pokemon, Assaultoad. And so now Tsunade only has one last Pokemon remaining, her ace in the hole, the epic Shinobian Florges. It's a grass and fighting variant of this flower Pokemon, and I kind of figured that this would really fit the Kage title as it's a masterful leaf shinobi, quite literally. With the 1,000 sealing marks engraved in her head and those sick thorn-like knuckle dusters, she packs a punch unlike anything else. Susanoo, broken. Heads shattered. Spirit crushed.
Back shot.
No. We just, no.
Yes, chef.
Anyways, Shinobian Florges also has the ability Iron Fist and gains access to strong moves like Power Up Punch and the absolutely nightmarish Rage Fist that gets stronger the more the user is hit. And since it also can unleash a healing move like Drain Punch, it gets healed and hits with insane power at the same time. So pretty much classic Tsunade behavior if you ask me, but it still wasn't quite enough to take down our main man Naruto. And so Tsunade, quite proud honestly, hands him a special necklace and ushers Naruto through into the next room. And here, the powerful electric type Elite Four member, the 4th Raikage, A, is awaiting him. And you know what's up, he's just on the attack right away and punches Naruto clean in the kidney, and only then does he throw out his first Pokemon, Iron Hands. This beefy electric and fighting Pokemon from the Paldea region packs a pretty mean hit. It activates the unique item Booster Energy, increasing its already pretty insane attack stat, and prepares to fight. It's trained upon the highest summits of the Hidden Cloud and is ready to unleash powerful lariats in the form of Thunder Punch and Supercell Slam. In short, he's a raging beast, a very fitting lead for the unruly. And honestly, I think he just wants to keep that going with Pawmot, another electric and fighting type Pokemon here. As you probably know, A's a very straightforward man. His Pokemon hit hard and they're pretty fast. And I realized that his Pokemon needed to give it everything they had after he fought Madara, and so Pawmot stepped up with its signature move, Double Shock. It's a super high power electric type physical move that removes the electric typing from Pawmot afterwards, showing its dedication to going truly all out. And after that, A shows off his mighty power of facial hair with his Alolan Golem, but this thing is no joke since it actually uses black lightning just like A's student Darui. A fun little flavor and tribute to, the next Raikage, and legend says that this Golem is even capable of single-handedly defeating Killer Bee's entire team with its mighty earth power attack. Yeah, a gym leader was swept by one Pokemon, and that's what I'm calling truly terrifying.
But what if he had like a Fu Manchu? That would be sick.
Sure, I guess. If Golem falls though, A can channel the power of his spiritual brother B to use his water and electric type Rotom Wash. With a Yosei-Ho, this washing machine helps A's super big ground weakness with powerful hydro pumps and a ground type immunity with its ability Levitate. It is the perfect pivotmon for A, who is all about quickly engaging and disengaging with his lariats, and that's why Rotom uses Volt Switch as well, letting it quickly switch out for another Pokemon on A's team.
Alright, I want to do the next one. It's Pinkerton, a super cute little guy who sets the electric terrain. Oh, and what's that he's holding? A terrain extender? Aw, that's rad. With it, he'll be able to make his electric terrain, a field effect that boosts electric-type Pokemon's attacks by 50%, last up to 8 turns. I wonder why he waited until now.
Oh, Pompon, that's because he wanted to ensure all 8 turns of that terrain were used on his ace Pokemon, right? The God of Thunder, a Pokemon almost as fast as the 4th Hokage, it is the unruly tank Shinobian Conkeldurr. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Shinobian Conkeldurr embodies the spirit of the Raikage. It's as fast as lightning since it has the ability Search Surfer, and thanks to this, its speed doubles in electric terrain, fitting A's role as a speed demon. And it even has this signature blue lightning of the Raikage. And of course, it's learned from all of A's techniques too. It uses the move Seismic Toss to simulate A's Liger Bomb, and its Wild Charge is based on the double lariat, even utilizing those two big pillars to perform that very thing. And when push comes to shove though, he can also just throw out a beastly guillotine drop with his high horsepower attack, and if everything else fails, he goes all in with one of my favorites, a simple double edge. In other words, a mighty Pokemon for a mighty man, but Naruto barely scrapes through. So A gives Naruto a massive pat on the back and sends him into the next room where the baddest baddie in all of Naruto awaits him. Because she's hotter than lava and her hips flow like water, it's the Mizukage Mei.
Muy caliente.
Agreed. Mei is a fire and water Pokemon master, and that is quite perfect since she's an absolutely insane Mizukage. In case you didn't realize, Mei's actually also a water and fire release user. Sure, she's mastered her Magma release and uses it a bunch, but she can also use Boil release, a blend of fire and water, so I think it's only fitting that the team embodies both halves of her chakra mastery. And she leads with the majestic water-type Pokemon, Milotic. Again, Gen 3, one of my faves. Her entire team is themed around fierce beauty, and Milotic's the perfect first team member for this. Especially since it gains access to the absolutely busted move Scald, a very high power special water move that has a chance to burn the targets. And I like to think that this Milotic is actually a fire release user too, and that's how she heats up the water. Plus, I had to use Milotic here because they're both redheads, right? It's a match made in ninja heaven. Which I like to imagine is distinct from regular heaven. But anyways, if Milotic isn't enough, Mei unleashes her Delphox, the other epic redhead on her team. It uses the insane heat from its Psychic Fire to burn targets with moves like Flamethrower, Mystical Fire, and, again, a favorite, Overheat. Unfortunately, Naruto's Greninja did prove to be the superior Gen 6 starter here, forcing Mei to use her own water starter, Primarina. Because if Delphox brings tyrannical heat, Primarina uses its siren song to drown opponents in destructive waves. Now, Mei's last name actually means Shining Beauty, and that's quite fitting for this Pokemon in particular, since Primarina's name combines the words prima donna and ballerina, two professions kind of known for their own elegance and beauty. And honestly, if I were Naruto, I'd be worried if this thing shows up with moves like Surf, Alluring Voice, Sparkling Aria, and Dazzling Gleam. I've even heard that this Primarina Surf can leave the targets burned, but as far as I know, that's just a rumor, not confirmed. When necessary though, Mei isn't afraid to get physical, as seen in her battle with Madara Uchiha. And so when the time comes, she rides into battle on her own Arcanine. This Firehound can hit fast with the priority move Extreme Speed, and when it's time to burn through the enemy's defenses, it gives everything it has with a powerful Flare Blitz.
What a good boy. You deserve a little biscuit.
He's a pretty good boy. Naruto, you have to be careful with this next one because I've heard it is quite toxic, just like Mei's boiling acid attack. It's the fire and poison Pokemon Salazzle, which is so much fun to say. Fun fact also, Salazzle can only be a femme fatale, so it's a perfect match for Mei and her burning acid attacks. Especially with the 1-2 combo of Toxic and Venoshock. Toxic of course poisons the target, and Venoshock does double damage due to that very status condition.
Britney Spears would be proud of you for that one, Mei.
And it does seem like Naruto is on the ropes here, and so Mei's about to send out her final Pokemon, Shinobian Lopunny. Its flaming rage is said to only be rivaled by the first lady of Konoha, Kushina Uzumaki. And let's be honest here, if you thought I was gonna give Mei anything but a signature Lopunny, you're absolutely crazy, man. I mean, come on. It's just way too perfect, no?
Hey Manu, did you know that in terms of male human and female Pokemon?
It is the living manifestation of Mei's Magma release, of course, and the flames on its body are said to be hotter than any of Mei's jutsu. And that can also be seen through its ability, Solid Rock. The flames and rocks on its body are so sturdy and hot that it lowers the damage of super effective moves. This lets Lopunny go to town with fearsome moves like Blazing Torque and Fire Lash, and if it needs to knock some sense into a stupid man, it rips out a super fast Axle Rock or Rock Slide. And needless to say, this thing is beautiful and beastly, matching the stunning and terrifying Mizukage. Luckily for Naruto though, deep inside of him lies his mother's chakra, and it helped guide him through the fury of this Lopunny, helping him secure a win. Mei shakes Naruto's hand, a hand that he'll never wash again by the way, and sends him to the 4th Elite Four member, and waiting patiently at the end of the room, hovering 5 feet off the ground, is the Tsuchikage himself, the master of particle release, Onoki. And don't let his old age fool you, Naruto, he is one of the fiercest ninjas alive. With his ground and rock team, he will crush you into a million billion tiny little pieces. He's incredibly wise, knows several nature releases, and is surprisingly limber for his age. I don't know, but did you see him catch not 1, but 2 meteors? He's a real badass, and so is his first Pokemon, Glizzr. I don't know, I kind of felt like this fits him incredibly well, seeing as it's a ground flying type. It sort of just flies around and looks ready to grab anything in sight, and it kind of reminded me a ton of Onoki, you know, using his jutsu to fly around and grab that heaven concealed in his battle with Madara. And Glizzr works super well because of its typing, but also because it uses the move Acrobatics, embodying Onoki's oddly athletic body and fighting style. This move does a ton of damage if the user doesn't hold an item, and luckily Glizzr of course doesn't have one. Afterwards, he then uses 2 rock Pokemon that represent his age and status as a Kage, Garganacl and Tyrantrum. Now Garganacl is this beastly mound of salt rock, which definitely fits Onoki's old grumpy nature.
Just say he's salty and move on.
Let me just have some fun, please, alright? But fine. His Tyrantrum embodies that mighty leadership as a Kage that Onoki has, and of course, it balances out his personal small stature, since this is just a massive T-Rex. But I also think that it's just the closest thing Pokemon has to the particle release, seeing as Dragon-type moves are very magically destructive by nature too. Which is also why the moves Outrage and Scale Shot are so freaking powerful when Tyrantrum uses them, as it embodies the pure power of destruction that the particle release has as well. Of course, Onoki is a warden of defense as he defends the mighty hidden stone village, and that's why he busts out his ultimate shield, Bastiodon, to defend his pride and his home. And since he's very clever, Onoki also tries to make sure he has some extra type coverage on his team and uses the goofy menace Toadscroll to cover those pesky water types that rip into his ground Pokemon. This grass and ground Pokemon uses the moves Power Whip and Earth Power to fend off any of Onoki's major enemies. But since Onoki is so clever, he knew that if he wanted to get truly the upper hand on his foes, he'd need some sort of epic genjutsu to handle them, so he gave his Toadscroll a Focus Sash, guaranteeing that it would survive a critical hit, and also taught it the move Spore. He saw the first Hokage use a very similar technique to put his enemies to sleep and said, "Give me some of that," and then if all else failed, he just summons his Pokemon with an unbelievably high battle IQ, because it said that the only man smarter than this Pokemon was the prodigy of the Hidden Leaf, the 4th Hokage. That Pokemon is his particle release master, Shinobian Orbeetle. This psychic and ground type Pokemon is short and stout, very much like Onoki, and he aims to deceive enemies with his small size and then boom! Delete them with an epic particle release blast. With Lumina Crash, it can lower the enemy's defenses, and then it throws out a fearsome mystical power to raise its own special attack. With Shore Up, it's capable of healing the damage done to it, and then finally, it's ready to unleash a fierce particle release, Clanging Scales. And while that may seem like an out-of-place move here, I think it's very fitting as not only a powerful Dragon-type move, which I've already said kind of reminds me of the particle release altogether, but also because Onoki's title is Onoki of both scales, representing his desire to remain neutral during wartime. Now, Clanging Scales may refer to scales of a dragon, but I do think that in Orbeetle's case here, it's referencing his master's unwavering scale. Luckily, Naruto's able to take care of business somehow, defeating Onoki, like, really on the last tooth. Nonetheless, Onoki pats him on the head and deletes the doorway into the final room, now only the champion awaiting Naruto. And are you ready to face the single strongest shinobi of the region?
Holy sh**! Naruto, it's your dad!
Yeah, the original child of prophecy, the savior of the world, Naruto's own father is the champion. I don't know who you expected. I personally felt it was only right, seeing as Naruto's entire goal was to surpass the 4th Hokage throughout the entire show, and now, Naruto, it's time for you to see if you've truly got what it takes to defeat him and take your place upon the throne of the Shinobi region. And Minato's lead, of course, is his very own Nine Tails, fitting off his own role as half of the Nine Tails Shinchuriki. And it's of course exactly the same special variant as Naruto's with the little wing eyeliner that Kurama rocks too. And you know, Minato's story is so centered around that one night where he sealed the Kyuubi away that I felt it was only fitting that his first Pokemon would encapsulate exactly that. And it uses its fire typing and moves like the powerful Fire Blast that truly embody Minato's will of fire. But, of course, when type coverage is necessary, he can throw out a nasty tailed Beast Bomb inspired Shadow Ball at his opponents too. If Ninetales is taken care of, Minato then pivots into his Lucario, donning the Hokage cloak itself, which, in Pokemon terms, is actually a covered cloak. If you're not familiar, that's an item that prevents all of those pesky additional effects from other moves. And considering that Minato is the fastest ninja around, it's only fitting that his Lucario can only be touched by the initial hit, not those lingering extra moves on top. And I also just found Lucario to be the perfect match for Minato, as Aura in Pokemon is just essentially chakra, right? And Lucario's Aura Sphere is practically a long-range Rasengan. Minato stealing those moves from his son and grandson, it seems, and teaching them to Lucario right here.
Not to mention Lucario learns Extreme Speed, a move that represents the Yellow Flash better than just about any other Pokemon move.
You're absolutely right, Pompon, but I do think that we can embody the title of Yellow Flash maybe even better than just that, right? Because that's where I think his Luxray comes in. It's a fierce physical Pokemon that can use Volt Switch to switch places with another one of Minato's Pokemon, setting up a much more advantageous situation, kind of the same way that his Flying Raijin technique does too.
There's something else here that just feels right. And I can't quite place my finger on it.
Well, while you're gonna figure that one out, I'm just gonna go and talk about the rest of this dude's absolutely wild team. Because as the champion, going forward, he has not one, not two, but 3 original Shinobi region Pokemon. The first of which is Assaultoad. This is the beast of Minato's team. It's the last evolution of one of the original starters from the Shinobi region, and it's the second Pokemon he has in common with his son. Assaultoad is of course based on Jiraiya sensei, and so it's only right that Minato has one, as Jiraiya was his sensei. And Assaultoad is a fire and fighting Pokemon, which definitely fits really well with the whole Will of Fire physical nightmare thing that Minato has going on all the time, and with its signature move, Roasting Thwack, it literally is perfect for Minato's team overall. Because in case you didn't see the starter video, this special move hits like a truck, but it also boosts the speed of Assaultoad, letting his body flicker technique rival that of Minato's after 1 or 2 turns of setup if he lands it. Though I do think we can do one better here, and that's where his Shinobian Alakazam comes in. This psychic and fighting, very high IQ fighter ditches the spoons in favor of the signature Flying Raijin Kunai, which I gotta say, one of my favorite designs that we've done here. With these, he can absolutely dominate the battlefield by teleporting around and delivering piercing strikes to enemies out of nowhere. This Pokemon is incredibly rare because catching it requires the user to outspeed an Abra's teleport, meaning that you only get 1 shot to land a Pokeball unless you can put it to sleep with a sneaky Genjutsu. Luckily, Minato is the one character that's just fast and respectable enough, and his Abra very quickly evolved into Kadabra, which he quickly traded with his wife Kushina to evolve it into Alakazam. A perfect Pokemon that has trained alongside him on his way up the ranks, all the way to Hokage and becoming champion. And a very big part of what makes it so great is his ability, Unseen Fist. You see, since Minato is the master of breaking through anyone's defenses, including the mighty Kamui, it kind of felt right that Alakazam here had an ability that let him break through the moves Protect and Detect, meaning that there simply is no hiding or protecting from this merciless shinobi. With the moves Sacred Sword and Psycho Cut, it takes advantage of its same type attack bonuses, and then with the Tachyon Cutter, it can bust out a quick double swipe combo. And if everything else fails, it busts out a final gambit, feigning and taking its target down with it in true Minato canon fashion. Which, if you've been paying attention, means that we're now down to Minato's ultimate and strongest Pokemon, and his son is 1 KO away from becoming champion, but Minato has a really big ace up his sleeve, a Pokemon he has never used before because its power is so freaking haunting. This is one of the legendary Pokemon of the Shinobi region, Repicure. This nightmarish ghost and normal type Pokemon is the living representation of Minato's Reaper Death Seal Jutsu. At its center lies a powerful Rasengan core, a nice little nod to the man who, let this thing loose. Its ability, Shadow Attack, is the first step of its haunting battle strategy, as it's a sealing Pokemon after all, so naturally it has an ability based on the sealing tags from Naruto. And this mark prevents the opponent's Pokemon from ever switching out, forcing it to defeat Repicure or feint trying, and feinting is very likely to happen since Repicure has the move Spectral Thief, allowing it to steal any stat raises that the enemy has and use them to its own advantage. Yeah, that's right. Good luck setting up anything with this Spectre on the screen. If that doesn't work, or it's facing a normal type Pokemon, it tosses out an Aura Sphere for some added type coverage from the Rasengan on its chest. But it's also hiding a secret weapon, because with the move Last Respects, Repicure is the Phantom Menace. This move scales in power based on how many members of Minato's party are down, allowing this thing to drop godlike attacks and reverse sweep teams with absolute ease. However, Naruto has his good friend Assaultoad by his side, and its scrappy ability allows it to unleash a mighty close combat to wrap everything up, and with one last beastly punch, Naruto and his partner have defeated his father and become the champion of the Shinobi region. A full circle tale of a boy with a dream completed, but he's not the only young man with a goal of becoming the very best. In fact, there are several who started on their journeys with epic teams, and a lot of them are stronger than even Naruto, so if you want to see what crazy other teams the shonen protagonists have, check out this video right here. Otherwise, thanks so much for watching. This was so much fun to make. If you want to see me make more of these, let me know. Otherwise, I do have another anime that I want to make a Pokemon region for, so hopefully you'll come check that one out as well. Alright. Sleeping.